We on? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in the place to be. I'm your host, Adam Mill. To the right of me is cuz the governor. I'm gonna start this all over, right? Because I gotta add names and y'all let me know in the group chat that don't call me that no more. Sid Cuz the governor, the scholar. I got Jamba One. I hope I said that right. The innovator, the deep thinker, you know what I'm saying? And I got the top philosopher Ty in the building, you know what I'm saying? Slash scholar with all the books. And we got Quan Bizzle here, aka uh, 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 Academics Part 2, 2.0. You know, Skills Mega couldn't be here today. He's in the studio cooking up something. He said that he'd be on the show next week. Word is bond. All right, what we got today, Ty? Oh, and I'm your host, Adam Mill. Sorry about that.
So me and Adam L wanted to I guess revisit the last week's topic because we didn't have as full of a panel. And we just wanted to and sort of didn't feel like we did the greatest job at developing that topic. So we're talking about Black culture today. So it isn't a question about who's Black or who holds the authority to name or translate. And it comes this question kind of came out of episode that we watched from the Daily Wrap Up crew, which was you had two FBA who was debating a foundation, African migrant. And the title of the episode was called Dave Anderson Snaps on African Frank Zanu calls Black Americans lost. That's not written the best way, but that's the name of the title. Um, so we can go there. I guess the first question I just want to pose to everybody is what do you guys individually think culture is?
1 second, Ty, before you do that, throw out the rest of the topics as well and give a shout out to the subscribers and then the incentive that we offer for the new subscribers.
I got you. So one sec. So firstly, when it comes to the new subscribers, if let's see,
Well, the incentive is this. No, you can put out the names. I want you to read out the names. But the incentive to the new subscribers is this: two things. If y'all out there, new subscribers, and shout out to the new subscribers, first and last time subscribers, and all the old school loyal subscribers. Keep this thing going on. So you know what I'm saying. This movement could flourish. This is incentive to the subscribers. If you send 20 or more subscription with proof that these are not bots, right? Then there's a $50 cash app for you or your choice of two gift cards. So that like
uh,
that. But what are the what's the proof that we spoke on, Ty? How do we know that these people that they're sending our way are real subscribers?
uh, just for real subscribers, just verify emails or identification cards or things of that matter, just to show that you're a real person.
Yeah.
Can't be any weird emails and stuff like that.
And it's a $50 cash app straight to your account or two gift cards. You can just read out the top three, top five real quick. Ain't no
So
biggie.
I'll shout out to our new subscribers, Renee 8383, Chris Matthews, Children of Israel, Robin Borders, Destined for Glory, Felicia Kopp, Drew, and Tamaro. Those are a couple of new subscribers.
Shout out to you guys. It's a family here. All right, now let's get back to what we was talking about.
Gotcha. All right, so I lost my document, so give me 1 second to pull it back up. So for those who didn't see the Frank Zainu um episode, I wanted to go over the arguments again. I'll try to be concise with it. So Frank Zanu is the African migrant that was on the podcast episode, and he argued that culture is a worldview. It's not just practices or aesthetic, and he kind of rejected the idea of when people were suggesting that music and stuff like that was culture. He says that true culture requires three things: a shared worldview, a shared language, and a shared purpose. He says that he argues that slavery's core harm was a loss of language, which he deduced that it also triggered a loss of culture, history, and worldview. So once we lost our language, that was completely severed from his point of view. Um, he says that African Americans lacked a unified culture because multiple tribes and language were forcibly mixed, and no single inherited worldview survived. He gives examples of the different types of cultures that mix, like the Creole, the Patios, Ebonics, and so on and so forth. And then he made a comparison to other diasporic groups, like the Jews and Japanese and Chinese, and he pointed out how they were able to retain their language and cohesion and economic coordination. Um, and he pointed out also in that discussion that we have a persistent focus on oppression or our own oppression, and it created like a psychological paralysis. And many of the African developmental challenges that are because of not just from colonialism, but due to social and environmental factors. And then the FBA, Dave Anderson, rejected this and says that Black Americans were denied an inherited culture, and we forged one under duress. And he, argued that culture can exist without original language, which is a direct challenge to Frank's point. And he says that our culture includes traditions, norms, rituals, survival practices. He gave examples of like jumping the broom, gospel music, Av, family customs, communal codes, and pointing out how the unique suffering of an American experience, slavery, lynching, Jim Crow, systematic, economics exclusion and stuff like cultural theft created those particular cultural artifacts like gospel music and Av and so on and so forth. Um, and he also points out like when Frank asks why didn't blacks just leave, he says, the psychological structural oppression is what caused blacks not to leave because they were pretty much like he gave a example of a flea experiment. Um, uh, but Black Americans nevertheless remain culturally influential but economically excluded. So just to point out the key facts of where they disagree, they disagree that language or Frank believes that language is a requirement for culture. Dave doesn't. Frank sees that you know the impact of oppression is insufficient, right? Dave sees it as as central to the American experience. Uh, the African American culture or the existence of African American culture, obviously, Frank argues that there isn't none. He outright said that. Um, and Dave sees it as forged innovation. And then, of course, Frank sees that, like in terms of global Black struggles across the world, Frank sees deficiency, and Dave sees shared trauma. They do share that slavery and colonization will cause deep harm, and that media uh, distorts narratives, and culture is more surface. It's more than just surface aesthetics, and that critical dialogue is needed for progress. So we can start there. The first question I would just, I guess, it's good to start with is how do you guys individually describe culture?
Everybody want to go first?
I know that's a
Yeah, that was a lengthy presentation.
say it again.
That was a lengthy,
I'm sorry,
well-educated
I'm just trying to lay
presentation.
the facts out there. Make sure everybody
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Everybody say, "Oh, you didn't show my side," or blah blah blah.
I mean,
Nah,
all
nah.
right. Well, uh, I'm going to say that I think culture is simply put people's way of life, depending, like it's like a way of life.
Okay.
Um, but to say that these are African Americans don't have a language.
Right. He says that because so basically when slavery happened, that severed our original language. And he says that is necessary to have a culture. So
That's
Av and all of that
that's
type of stuff doesn't count.
that's kind of ridiculous because we speak English. You know what I'm saying? And we are Americans. We are
Right.
a new. That's what I was saying when we was talking about the unit when we had the unity topic. We
Okay.
are a new race of people.
Right.
So yeah, we speak English. That's our language. The heck?
Yeah, I
And we
mean,
both
for me
definitely have
personally, when I heard that, I thought it was a little elitist. You know what I mean? Like like come
yeah.
on, just because we don't speak the original language, like who are you to frame that to say, well, if you don't speak the original language or the full language, you
Well, what happened with slavery, they took some from over here, some from over here, some from over there, and they got all mixed together, and this is what we have. And we speak English. That's our language. But I'm not saying that he's wrong, but he like to say that
Broken
African
English, but
Americans
nevertheless.
don't have culture, that's a lie. That's the biggest lie I've ever been told.
no 100%. I mean, the other thing, like I think one thing I did agree with him on is the fact that by us not having, I guess on a language apart, is that by us not having a shared language, and by when the Africans were brought over, there were a bunch of tribes, a bunch of languages, and that created a bunch of fracture. So black people in general don't have that unification because they don't speak some. I mean, we have English, but we don't. Losing that kind of creates somewhat of a fracture in our society versus
But
like
but really when you think about it though, the way we speak to each other in a way that other cultures don't even understand a lot of the times.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we create a certain kind of slang that we speak to each other. That's a language within itself. And we've been doing that for centuries. We even had ways of
Let me
talking to each other so master didn't understand what we were talking about. So that's a language within itself.
A
let me
hundred
ask
We
you this
put it
on
percent.
a
in
global.
the we put it in
Let
the
me ask you guys.
music even. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this on a global scale, right? Um, in that application when they say, "Are you bilingual? What languages do you speak? Do you speak any language fluently?" I take it as, um, one saying that this could elevate you in corporate in the corporate world and benefit you far as financially, right? So let's say if I'm in
Mhm.
a corporation and I speak like three or two different languages fluently, or I speak Japanese fluently, and I travel to Japan or whatever, that's a bigger bag for me, right? Do you
Right.
think that our quote unquote broken English or slang is there a market for that? Why is that not on the application to say, do you speak slang or broken English? This is better financially. This is a great opportunity, money wise for you. Why
It's
is that?
on, it's only great for those that aren't one of us. If you're not one of us, that'll do you great. Like say if you coming from you say you coming from Japan. and you're able to speak the proper, oh, he can speak like Black Americans. That'll get him rich. You know what I mean? Because he's able to do it for them. You know what I mean? For the entertainment factor. But
Mm.
yeah, like you say, other than that, nope, we can't do that.
Yeah, because I just wonder why that's not on the application, or if it is an opportunity out there. Because believe it or not,
It could be.
there's certain cultures and countries that teaches our culture, meaning like how to communicate, understanding their classes on African American, right? Understanding the African American. So they teach stuff like this in Harvard and Yale and stuff like that. So I would just wondering, is it beneficial? I just wanted to know from you guys, you know,
Gotta be.
I'm sure it's beneficial, but why isn't it highlighted?
Because
You know,
it have a lot to do with it's got a lot to do with how things are everything is under control. Like the control of things, this is a very important part of it, you know what I mean? Because the ability to do this, think about the Four-Letter Sports Network, for example. You know what I mean? They incorporate that constantly. That's in pretty much every advertising and most of the shows that you got where they talking about whatever going on in the different leagues. They make sure that that's a big part of what's incorporated in it. So this is very big business when it comes to that. It's just not for us to, to profit. It's a shame of it because when you think about culture itself, that has a lot to do with it because culture is about the arts. You know what I mean, and all the things that get in the social institutions that are produced as a result of that. You know what I mean?
universities, like shout out to Lupe and the Jizzle. That's one faction of it, but it should be us in these universities expressing this type of language. Because believe it or not, is a language within a language within a language. That's what slang is, right?
100%.
So it should be us in these universities, people that look like us, teaching these things, and it should be a money grab or some type of financial benefit for us to go across seas, since we, if they want to study us so much and communicate, even from a small scale, opening up businesses in urban areas. You got to know the people, the language that the people speak. You get what I'm saying? So I just wanted to put that out there.
And like Jama pointed out, that people often underestimate how complex Av is. Like people, you might think of like just the simple cases of it, but like when they stripped us of our language and ability to read and all of those things, our oral tradition was the only way that we could pass codes, the
Right.
history, and every other fact that allowed generations and generations to survive. And like
Right.
our music, Negro spirituals, and so on and so forth, was also, you know, we are passing codes in our Negro spirituals and so on and so forth. So it's kind of crazy, just like when you hear it and when you think about it, it's like, come on, bro, like
Yeah, and stay right there with the language and everything. I want to ask the panel this too. I want y'all to be honest with yourselves, right? And that's a disclaimer for the listeners. No, I'm not Pan-African. Okay, I get that a lot in the comments. Oh, that guy in the middle, Adam Mill guy's I'm not a Pan-African, man. I don't. I love my peoples. Don't get it twisted. And I love people of color all over. I love humanity, but I love people of color all over the world. But I'm not a Pan-African because I don't, adhere to everything of their core beliefs. But we do share one thing: love for our peoples around the globe. So that's what we got in common. Just moving on. I just want to make that disclaimer because I'm reading the comments, and for some reason they put that title on me, and I never proclaimed that. So I just want to put that out there. Let's stick with language, and I want y'all to be very honest with yourselves. Ty, you mentioned communication. Could they strip us of our language? What was our language, and where did it come from, and where's the evidences that what we used to speak? And if you could tie that back to Africa, Abukhazian, however you want to pronounce it, you know what I'm saying? If you can tie that, you get what I'm saying? Then you can say that Black folk and Africans, or we come from Africa. a good deal of us come from Africa.
Yeah.
And to separate that or cut the biblical cord, and I'm not saying that some of us went over here before Columbus came over here. I'm not Xing that out. Although I have no proof personally of it, I'm not going to X it out. Okay, I'm not going to be this arrogant and X it out. Okay, I'm a person of proof. You can send me proof and evidence, and it's truth. I'll bow down to it. That's just me.
mean-
I'm not arrogant, but real quick, because I know I'm going on a tantrum. If y'all can prove to me or someone prove what language did we lose, and if the language goes back to the motherland, I don't think that people of African descent or FBA should cut the biblical cord from that tradition. That's just me.
I mean, it's for me, it's simple. Whether or not I like, just to reframe a little bit, I don't know now. I can't really go in and historically tell you what we spoke before, but we obviously spoke something, right? Before we got over here. If we, especially if we're not going to debate core facts that the transatlantic slave trade happened, that we were migrated from, forcefully taken from Africa to here. We did not speak English. English, is the white man's language. So at the very least, we had a language, and they severed whatever apparatus they had here, severed that language, and we no longer have it. And our new language was English. And of course it turned into, as they want to call it, AAV, or African American vernacular.
Let me
So
ask you this.
I don't know. I can't say. I can't tell you exactly. I'm sure that there was, like, if you came from, Nigeria, you probably spoke some form of, Pidgin or Igbo or something like that, or, so I don't know exactly.
You got to think about Africa being the size that it is. It's over 3,000 different groups within. So there's over 3,000 languages already. You know what I mean? So mix that in with the fact that all the ones that came over that were taken, that were brought over, they weren't all from the same group. So it's a mixture of all of those, or not all, but a mixture of a lot of those. You know what I mean? So if we all came from Africa, if we all came from here, like the Native Americans, you know what I'm saying? If we all was from here, there was several of those. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of different languages when it came to that as well. And it's kind of easy to lose a language because you can see people that say two people could come from India, right? And they could come over here and have children, but they don't speak English in the house. The kids they go to school with everyone else, all their friends speak English. They never really use it. You can see where the language is lost within the generation or two. So I can see there's issues going on within people that's come over here, and they're starting to say, oh, we're losing our language, we're losing our culture, what we had. You know what I mean? Because they're assimilating to what's over here. So that's the thing that's going on among the ones that's coming over here with the kids that's growing up. That's one issue that I've seen. But anyway, to go back to the original thing about the languages, that's why it's hard to say which one was. It's not like we had one before, so it was like so many different ones, and then you forced into this one, you made a new culture. You know what I mean? Now, do we separate? I don't know. See, now that's the thing. Of course, we all come from the same family in a way, but it's different branches. You see what I'm saying? So you can't say that we authentically African because we don't know what Africa's like. We didn't grow up there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, can
So,
we,
and
if we judge a thing from a science perspective, right? The
yeah,
original man come from Africa or Mesopotamia, right?
then that'd be
The original man
everybody.
the original man is black.
Right.
So I don't give a damn you from Russia, England, China, wherever you from. The original man is black, and he comes from Mesopotamia, which is Africa. So if we want to kill that argument, we're gonna say original man black.
Yeah.
Science prove this. I know the Quran proves this as well. You get what I'm saying? Religious texts, if you go into deep into the Torah, whatever, the original man is black. So if we want to make an argument of where he came from that region of the earth. So All humanity come from there. Now you can make an argument of what part of the tree did you come from, like Gov said, when it's time when man start exploring and making their routes, right? Because even for Columbus, right? To see natives when he was over here, obviously they found their way over here somehow, some way, through a boat or whatever the case may be. You get what I'm saying? If I'm using that logic and that belief system, you feel what I'm saying? You know, everybody else got different beliefs of, well, you know, man spread it out here, whatever beliefs they have. But I go by the belief that the original man is black and he was formed in Mesopotamia, which is Africa. And scientists of modern day proofs, until it changes otherwise, the oldest bones are in Africa, not over here.
Right, right, right. But yeah, but then right going back to our culture though, because they trying to say that we don't have culture. We have a culture. You see what I mean? They have their culture, but at the same time, black culture is slick the way that white people can have their cultures in all their different ways, right? We got the French, we got the English, we got Russian, German, whatever. You know what I mean? On and on. And all of that unites under what we can call, you can call that white and just be fine with it. You know what I mean? But when it come to us, for some reason, we gotta have it where it's separated to the point that now we're not a part of them at all. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? That's deep too, Gov. I mean, look at it like this. Even a white man in this country, he tries to do it, but the masses won't let him do it. He'll probably say, "Oh, I'm American. Where you come from?"
Mhm.
They have a more of a lineage. Believe it or not, and it's sad, and this is the number that they put on black people. White man can go back and say, "I'm from Ireland. I'm from York." You know what I'm saying? But his arrogance to say, "I'm warm-blooded American." You know what I'm saying? America's the best. We know, and everyone else know, and you know deep inside you're not from here. You get what I'm saying? And like you said, Gov, it's a universal thing with them. I'm Caucasian. We can't do that with one another. We got to separate ourselves. And I think, in a sense, when you look at the negative side of it, it's separation and it's a form of ignorance because you didn't isolate it yourself. You get what I'm saying? It's I to that pepper killing me. It's I to it's I to innovate yourself within a new group. You get what I'm saying? But where I come to conflict with is when you disregard all the other people of color. Knowing that the white man can tell you, well, we're Caucasians and we have a Caucasian nation, where the black man is constantly not just the FBAs, it's everybody.
But
You know
remember
what I'm saying?
this. I want to put this out here. Remember that conversation we had the other day? The price of the ticket for coming here, James Baldwin pointed this out. The price of the ticket as a white person, especially since we built this whole system off of hierarchy, economic hierarchy, racial hierarchy, so on and so forth. The price of the ticket for any white person coming to this, if you come here, you're no longer in Irish. You're no longer, or that's secondary and tertiary to your identity, right? You're no longer Irish or Scandinavian or French or so on and so forth, or German. You are white. And that category, that racial category, was necessary to justify, and when you think about white and black are juxtaposed constantly and compared against each other. So that category, that racial category, had to exist to deny the subjugation of black people. And that's why they can never mix. We can never mix black American culture in because it's inferior. White is right. Black is wrong. And we would never, and from their eyes,
Right.
we could never do that. They never have a culture. And if they were to admit that we had a culture, then that would mean that they would have to fundamentally evaluate their own assumptions about their identity and their understanding of who they are. And they would have to look at the lies that they've told themselves. Right? So, and it's just it's crazy. Like our culture has been our culture is more of an innovation. It's generative under pressure and constraint, right? It's not something that people like I said, I kind of started off like it's very from Frank's point of view. His three things that he said was required to have a culture: a shared language, a shared purpose, a shared understanding. Is great. I understand it, but it's elitist in its framing. And when you go down, I wanted to comment on something about language, right? When you go down to like the 1 second, I had some notes somewhere. When you go down to the Negro spirituals, right? When you talk about language and a shared purpose and so on and so forth, right? During slavery, the ways that we survived, the way our language, our culture created communal intelligence. It created care systems of care that we could it communicated things to others. So like with the Negro spirituals, right? It mapped routes. When we were singing Negro spirituals, we were given maps of and routes for escape. We signaled danger to each other through Negro spirituals. We coordinated our movement. We when we sung blues, we were collectively processing grief. When we did call and response, we were sending messages to so that not just one person had it, but other people also had it. So no one carried that entire burden. That's a complex communication system if you really think about it. That's not for someone to think about it, to think that, okay, we don't want one carrier to have this and lose it. We're going to call it out. And the other person now has it. That's complex. That's well organized.
Yeah.
And slaves, our people created that. So that debunks the whole idea of us not having a shared purpose or a shared language. Yes, we may not have the original language, right? But we innovated. What the slave master gave to us, we innovated with it, right? But we still had a shared purpose, which is survival. Our generation, we wouldn't be here, right, without a culture, right? We would never. Without that survival, all of that, the call and response, the Negro spirituals, that whatever, it's all hogwash. I think what Frank's argument was hogwash. And like when you really think about it, let me add this.
Well, real quick. Okay, we gotta let Jan speak. Real quick.
Oh no, I'm good. I mean, I pretty much said what I wanted to say. But okay. I agree with what he was saying. Go ahead. Okay.
How did you feel that it was hogwash? What part of it was hogwash to you?
The whole thing that first is that for you to have a culture, it's very deductive reasoning, right? So A leads to B to C, right? And if A doesn't happen, then everything else, B and C doesn't exist, right? So when you look at it, to say that the only way you can have a culture is if you have the original language. And that's assuming that things, culture and language and all of that is linear. History is messy.
And you know another thing about that is language changes throughout the years, throughout the centuries. Yeah. Like nobody speaking the same language that they were speaking 500, 600, 700 years ago.
Oh, we could go 100%. Back. Right. Read that we could try to read those Shakespeare. We struggle. We
struggle. 100%.
I differ with that, man. I really do.
Like, no, think about it.
Oh, no, that's hard.
No, I differ with that. I differ with
Shakespeare. Like, all right, what about you ever heard of Geoffrey Chaucer? Chaucer, I think that's his name. An old English writer back in the day.
You froze up, Gov.
Chaucer. Geoffrey Chaucer. Look that up.
I haven't heard him.
Yeah, that's an old English writer from the 1400s. Read that. And then you'll see what I'm saying. When you see how
but you got some ancient languages that have been around for thousands of years.
And they have changed.
And they changed.
How did they change?
Like, think about it. Like, think about how they call it ancient Arabic and then modern Arabic. Same way with ancient Hebrew.
Well, Arabic has 7 dialects to it.
I know. You know what I'm saying?
So
But I'm saying
I
over
don't know.
the
I don't know
years,
if that. Yeah, I don't know if that count as change. You
I'm
know what
saying
I'm
over the
saying?
years, these dialects have changed. You know what I mean? These dialects have, you know what I mean? They have been developed over the years. You know what I mean? They change. This is the thing that happened with all languages.
But can they go back? But can what makes language so rich from language that's tainted, right? Get take Arabic for instance. You can go back and read classical Quran, right? But if you can't, you may can't go back and read or hear classical Jap. What? Let me be real witty with this. Uh, Classical English or something like that. I don't know. You know
Right,
what
but
I'm
I'm
saying?
saying, but like I've heard, like you know, you got like a lot of people that debate these things, right? They talk about classical Arabic or whatever, and some of them say like, yeah, I understand the current modern, right? But they say I can't read classical stuff. So I don't know the linguistic things about that particularly, but I do
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah,
about.
yeah. The
The
Quran is a
rules
different.
change,
The Quran
grammar.
is the Quran is a different dialect from a lot of Arabs can't read the Quran.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, so it's like
Yeah,
that. That's a classical version. Like,
yeah.
so
It's his own
it's
version
his
of it.
own word, right? But I'm
Yeah.
saying, but it's not like the current modern way that people currently speak. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm saying the same way, like when it comes to English, is the same way it's kind of happened over the years. The languages evolve. You see what I mean? So like, because just different manuscripts have done that over the years. So when you just think about that over time, like our own language, we've seen that like within English over the last, what, 50, 60, 70 years from the slang that they spoke in our grandfather's day to what to what the kids speak now. Like
Right.
a lot of the kids, what they'll say now, we're like, huh, what are you saying? Oh man, it's just da 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 da. So it's just the way it works.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. What I don't want to stay too long on this topic because we got to move on. But what 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 makes it so frustrating to me? Again, we've been stripped. It's like we just adapted English, and to me, that's a form of being conquered. And the reason why I say being conquered because the way this land was taken and the way out we were taken. And remember, I said this on the last podcast. Is a difference if yes, wars and people get conquered. That's humanity, history, history, humanity, right? But if you're being conquered, let's say like how the Moors did, and that's very interesting. Let's say how the Moors did the people from Europe, Spain, right? To this day, those people kept their identity. The Moors didn't strip them from that identity. So the way that the white man has conquered and took over things was very barbaric, if you ask me, because they didn't contribute. And I'm not saying I know somebody in the comments are going to say, well, look, they made civilization, buildings and technology, stuff that everybody brought to the table. Okay, so let's just kill that. I'm talking about how the land was taken. It was barbaric. They didn't allow us to keep our own culture. You know what I'm saying? What they did was whether you a Native American or you brought over on a boat, they didn't allow you to keep your core culture. Say, look, okay, we're going to enslave you, we're going to dominate you, but we're going to allow you to keep your culture. At least let us keep the language. They stripped us from everything, and that made it very barbaric.
But we still created language is one of them. But I also would be remiss not to mention that also like when it came to black institutions that came HBCUs were knowledge production systems. That was how we preserved and passed knowledge along culture. That's technically culture. Uh, Black churches, mutual aid societies, Black owned banks. When it comes down to truth telling, a lot of our academics, right, like Du Bois and Hurston and Woodson and Baldwin and so on and so forth, worked outside of mainstream academies that had no interest in preserving Black people with dignity and telling our story with dignity and so on and so forth. So those scholars became truth tellers, right? That is a part of our it's an epistemic culture, right? But that is what has allowed us to move forward and survive for so many generations. And then also I wanted to comment on one thing about people, Frank Zanu compared other diasporic groups, right? And they say, oh, the Jews, the Japanese, so on and so forth, were able to survive so long, right? But the reason they were is they weren't on their oppression, right, was time barred. The Holocaust and all of those different things happened in a specific period. Ours happened over a long period of time. And we were deprived economically, sabotaged politically, and destroyed systematically. And then also what they don't say is that those people, Jews and Japanese, their 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 movement that they had in the society was built off of what we built, the civil rights movements and our academic scholarship and political advocacy and so on and so forth. So it's wrong, it's not even right to compare. Like, I think that's completely crazy for Frank.
I think you misunderstood what he meant by comparing. He's saying that these people
There's no
were able.
comparison.
Listen, I think you misunderstood. He was saying that these people were able to, although they were conquered and ruled and enslaved, right, or oppressed, they kept their identity. They kept it strong. And the black man in our situation, we totally got broken down and submitted. And then
They
we
won.
said, hold on, listen. And we said that if we can't beat them, we can't be like them, we can't beat them, we might as well just join them. And
No,
here's the
look,
funny,
you wanna
here's
know
the
what
funny,
the issue
wait,
is?
hold on,
You
hold on,
wanna
hold
know
on.
what the
Hold on
issue
real
with
quick.
that is?
Hold on,
Oh,
real
okay,
quick.
go ahead.
And
Go
here's
ahead.
the funny part. They don't want you joining them. That's the difference. If I can't beat, that's a defeative mentality. If I can't beat you, I might as well just join you. But here's the funny part. Guess what, black man? You can't join us. And how many times you going to get that through your skull? We don't want you joining us. Long as you do certain things to keep us occupied, and I think Gov, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you alluded to this a few podcasts ago. AI gonna soon take that away. You seen that in the music. They taking away the entertainment. White man only wants you around to song, dance, and tap dance, bro. They don't want you having equal footing, equal sharing in their empire, because it will not be white supremacy then. A fool, an enemy, a fool will allow the one that he oppressed to be on equal footing with him because he know one day the table's going to turn. He's never going to do that. So you got to take it in blood. So and they taking away that because guess what? AI coming in. Negro, we don't need you to sing no more. We got computers for that. Negro, we don't need you for entertainment. We got computers for that. Look what they was doing to the actors a few years ago with the protests in LA and Hollywood. They're replacing niggas with AI. And once you no longer serve that benefit of entertainment, we don't need you. And don't think that it can't be no genocide. You're exempt from genocide and oh, they respect the universal laws or Negro, please. They bombed Hiroshima. They bombed Hiroshima. Come on.
I want to go back to the part where you were saying that that we were conquered, right? I think it's a little bit different. Yes, we were conquered in a way, but not like they just ran up and just like beat us down and took us, and changed the way we spoke. No, it didn't happen like that. They were sneaky. They bought like POWs and they abducted people from different tribes who didn't speak the same languages. That's the way they did it. So you can't really say that the African American was conquered like that. Not necessarily. It's sort of, but not really. You know what I mean? Like when you gather a whole bunch of different people from different tribes who don't speak the same language, then that's not what it is.
Let me ask you this, Jam. Do you think that the white man was fair in the tree? Don't kill a woman. Don't harm a child. You know what I'm saying? There's rules of engagement. and I believe that they are the grandfathers of guerrilla warfare. Regardless of how the war is fought, the fact that you lost. It's not about how you lost, the fact that you lost. And if we can't
But
conquer,
that part, it wasn't a war. It wasn't a war. You abducted people and you traded and bought people
that's
to be
war. That's part
slaves.
of war. That's part of war.
No, that's not war.
Like the people,
That's
it's not
not
like they
war.
fought. They didn't fight those folks in the
Yeah.
war. They just bought them.
If I'm a child, right, and my mother sent me to the lake to fetch a pail of water, and while I'm at the lake, a group of guys come out and grab me and run off with me. That's not war. That's trickery.
I think it's war of the minds. I think it's war of the soul. It's different factions and levels to war. There's chemical war.
Yeah, but it's
There's
not.
mental warfare. You know what I'm saying? So let's not to jump off topic too much. I think it's war when you look at the urban school system. That's war because they're brainwashing our kids to submit to a system that was never really meant for them or had, where the odds are not in their favor. That's war. You don't always have to pick up a gun or a sword to raise war. So it's a mental warfare game. So, in my opinion, whether they use guerrilla tactics, mental tactics, it's still war, and you lost. We lost. We lost the war. It's lost. No black man on this face of this planet or in America, let's be real fair. That's from Farrakhan on down. Could honestly tell me that we can run this country and take over the white man. I'll wait.
Put enough change.
I'll wait. When they can sell me that, I'll be in your army. Until then, you conquered, you lost, get the scraps, whatever you can take and be happy with it. Because you're never going to take over this country unless it's taken how they understand it, in blood.
Well, you gotta look at it like this, right? This is our country. We're not separate from America. We are America.
That ain't my country, Jan.
We wasn't one nation that was brought over here to work. No, we were like from all over the place. Just different people were brought here. So I get what you're saying, and people were conquered because you coming into a country that's already has its rules, its ruler, and you have to play by their rules. So I get that part, but as far as like when you go into the place of trying to overthrow the white man and all of that stuff, I don't even think that's when people like the average black American don't care about overthrowing the white man. They just don't.
Why shouldn't that be an issue? See, here's the thing. And this is why I say we've been mentally conquered, right? We don't if I tell you who's running the country, what race they are, and you got some people in their ideology that look like us or look like other nationalities just help running the pot. But when I say who's running the military, who's running the economic field, 9 times out of 10, it's the white man. And we're going to see who's running the country. We're going to see exactly.
Why would we want to be like them?
So I've never said, see, y'all misunderstanding me. You can overthrow something, and this is just for YouTube. We're not trying to overthrow nobody. Guess I'll say we're just having a conversation, okay? I know things get sensitive. Oh, they're trying to overthrow the government. No one's saying be like them, okay? We're saying that if the system is not right, it's corrupted, if the foundation is built on corruption and evil, then give it to a people who are the total opposite. And if they're not running the show, then you're conquered. In order for us to change the system that us as black people or minorities and some white folk are discomfort with, how things are going, then it must be a change of regime.
Let me ask you this. Have we not made systematically, if you chart all the way back from slavery, have we not systematically made changes? The change might be slower and it might not be as effective as a total revolution, but we have made changes and master assault over the years. That's why we like, I mean, you look at like getting the just off the top of my head, the civil rights passage, and or when we couldn't go to their school,
Who were you backing?
HBCUs.
Who were you backing civil rights to? Who were you backing for civil rights?
All the black man in this country is asking for is to be treated with more dignity, and they have.
You skipping over. You moving the goalposts. You're moving the goalposts. Who did we beg for civil rights?
Nobody. We took it. We forced it.
You ain't take nothing.
No,
who did you ask? Who did you
said
ask?
we're going to be treated like people, and this is how we're going to do it.
You missing my point. Let's go back in time a little bit for slavery. Who did we ask for freedom? Were we like Haiti? Were we like Jamaica?
It's not a matter.
Did we take ours? Did we take out, or were we like the Native Americans? What happened to Florida?
If you did that, we would have been wiped out as a people, and we would as a generation. And
now we get somewhere.
Isn't our purpose to survive? Why would we want to wipe out our people?
No. I think one of them. I think one of them said, give me freedom or give me death.
Well, that's short.
The difference between Haiti, though, the difference between Haiti was the fact that was the island. You know what I mean? The way that worked. Access to getting to that island at the time. That's why when it came to the modern time, they was able to finally destroy it the way that they meant to do. They couldn't do back then. But going back to this one here, when it comes to the United States and the black people here, being the co-builders of this thing, because without us, they couldn't have been able to build this whole situation in the first place. You know what I mean? The only way
sharing on equal footing.
Because at the same time, there was a big part that also took place was the mental breakdown of the whole aspect of things. We didn't have, by always making sure that the power structure within the household was broken, there was no way to make sure every time it was built, they made sure to break it down. When we saw the civil rights movement come, right? We also saw the movement that was going on with music at the time. Sam Cooke and all the rest, and that was also fueling a lot of what was going on. We also saw how that was spreading on into the arts and also in the sports, Muhammad Ali and the rest, and how they was all saying what they had to say about the current movement and the struggles that was going on at that time. They had to make it a point to dumb it down immediately. Blaxploitation and all that comes out. They had to kill that. So we had to go from trying to be smart to being pimps and hoes. You see what I'm saying? So they had to change the whole dynamic of things. That way we dumb it back down. Fast forward, when we got to hip hop, right? We coming out with that. X-Clan, Poison, X-Clan, Public Enemy, all the rest of them, right? Right, they coming out. They
righteous teachers and all
that. Right. They speaking on something about knowledge and doing something about self. You know, and everybody was rocking the medallions and all that back then. Rodney King riots come out, scared them to death. We gotta dumb it back down. Boom, here we go again. We going right back through that cycle again because they gotta make it a point. Because if we get on intellect and we get on building and things like that, the thing that you're talking about would happen, where we start to all of a sudden we're infiltrating different systems again. That's why they got upset with the woman that worked at NASA. You know what I mean? Back in the day, that old movie we saw a few years ago. So we saw that type of thing happen, but whenever that intellect starts to kick in, they don't like that. They got to come back and say, no, your job is to just produce entertainment. Because we're going to use the entertainment, not for us. We're not going to watch it because a lot of them don't even watch our entertainment. They just use the entertainment to watch so we can get glued to it.
We can be mindless. We can be mindless.
And fall into the cycle and end up into the prison system.
Great points from everybody, but this is my frustration, right, y'all? This is my frustration. Like I was telling Ty earlier, if I'm building a house and, you add to the deck, you build a house, and I said, thanks for the house. You did more building with the tool, the hammer and nails. And I say, thank you, but this is not your house. You're like, okay, all right. Let me fall into favor. Let me build a bad porch for you. Thanks for the back deck, but it's not your deck. But why can't it be both our back deck? You came up with the idea, But I put the manual labor, so it should be equally shared, right? No, thanks for the back deck. It's not your deck. Next thing you know, you built a whole neighborhood, and they say, guess what? Thank you for building, but it's not yours. You can elude yourself all you want. Oh, this is my neighborhood too because I helped build it. It's not yours because you are not in position of structure to make that claim, and they're going to constantly make that to you. I think it's just delusional to think that this is my country. No, you just live here. It ain't yours. You just occupy the space.
But see, here's the thing though. As long as you say that, it'll never be yours. You know what I'm saying? As long as you say that, it'll never be. Because the thing about it is, one situation that occurred right after the whole slavery thing happened, right? A lot of the people that own a lot of their land, they finally getting their land back. They said they sent the slaves away. You know, now you're free people, right? They ain't know how to run their own farms and everything like that. So a lot of them went into bankruptcy as a result. They had to call them folks back. Too bad we didn't have the mind. Too bad we didn't have the mental forehand. You know what I'm saying? To say, okay, fine, we'll come help you out. But guess what? That means we the owners now. You're just the workers. But we didn't, you know what I'm saying? But too bad we couldn't do that. But I'm just saying these are the type of things that can occur. If you have everybody going in the mindset, like right now, I'm just a worker, but my kids, they coming up. They gonna be more than just the workers. You see what I'm saying? But we didn't do that. I think that what has happened is the game plan was to distract, and it worked. And we all got distracted. We all on various different whatever programs we on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If anybody else have anything to say, we can move on to some hip hop pleasantries. You know, this is a long. I appreciate everybody's opinions and views on it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a strong topic. You know, I just stand on. Again, I'm not. I know what y'all did to the Black Panthers, so I'm not. I'm letting y'all know. No, I'm not scared of y'all, but you know, it is what it is. I know the reality of things. I don't claim. You know what I'm saying? I just live here. I'm fortunate. You know, I just happen to be born on this rock, but I want to be somewhere where my people or people of my belief systems run things. It's as simple as that. And I know the reality is that this place right here, like I was telling somebody, why is it that we have military bases on every part of the globe, but nobody got their military base here? That tells you a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. What do you
That's
mean?
power.
We don't have military bases here. What do you mean here in
No
America?
like no other people got nobody
we have
else can put one here.
Exactly. That tells you a lot.
Like say, all right, we got a base, like you know how different around. We got a base in Okinawa, Japan, and all these different places around the world. United
Yeah.
States bases. They can't do that here. Ain't no Japan base over here. You see what I mean?
Ain't no compromising that.
Ain't no-
It's dead.
That's completely true, though.
No, that is true. Look it
There's a
up.
couple of bases that other countries have house here, but not from.
You talking about embassies, American embassies and stuff like that.
Hold on 1 second.
You don't have no. You don't have. Listen. You don't have no Japan ship or aircraft carriers based here in America. Let me know. Please let me know.
Oh, I got you. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Chat GPT that joint. Let me know, please. Oh my goodness.
Okay, Qatar is building an Air Force training facility in Mount Home, Idaho. Singapore has one. Dutch and NATO pilot. So they're like training bases, but like physical
sovereign bases. Nope.
Sovereign bases. Yeah, I guess you're right on that one.
I don't see no Japanese troops or any Middle Eastern troops. Hell, I don't even see any European troops walking around this country and got bases.
I ain't mad at it.
Come on,
I ain't
man.
mad at it at all. They shouldn't be over here, but we should be over there.
I'm upset.
Frank? What was his name? Frank what?
Zanu.
Frank Zanu.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Zanu need to come over here. Come over here on our show. Because he cooked them daggone daily wrap up boys. Them boys ain't know what hit them. They was too young. He needed to come over here.
Yeah, they ain't know how to respond.
No, we got a show. We got a show, all right. We ain't running it. We ain't running the program, so hey,
He
I
should
want to
come
run the
over here
program.
with
I want
us
to be
so
part
we
of
can
the.
get some
I
real
don't even want to be
smoke.
part of the main act.
It would be nice to get
Yeah, I don't even
he
want to be
ain't-
part
he
of the
ain't-
main act.
all that stuff he's saying would have been shut down.
He's talking
Yeah.
about Zanu. He's talking about Frank Zanu.
Yeah. Frank
The
Zanu.
new- Yeah, like I said, man, and I know the comments gonna fire me for it. I don't give a damn. The black man in America don't run a damn thing but his mouth. And
What I call it?
the volcano from an Iceland, they come to take over the rap game like the white man. Hiller than Hitler, photobomb at Yahoo, read it bomb missile. Watch me do it like the Pointer Sisters. Slip arsenic in your corn liquor. Two bigger L's than the Aubrey nigga. From Pappy Mason to Pastor Mason, the church is vacant. Preacher with Bobby trapped in the basement. I'm laughing, just imagine the Sleepy Beauty had herpes.